Hello everyone and welcome to Halo Xplored, a series on Extra Interact where we rank and review each mainline Halo game up to the release of Halo Infinite. I'm your host Eric, and today I'm joined by Steven and Gaff as we're here to review Halo Reach. If you like what you see, please follow us on Twitter at xinteract_. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube to get the latest updates and new videos on Halo Explored, our podcast, any reactions we do. I know we're going to be eventually doing the the Game Awards coming up soon. Just waiting on the nominees for those, so look out for that. Today we're doing Halo Reach. So guys, before I go into the overview and facts, how do you guys feel about Halo Reach?
I have a complicated relationship with Halo Reach, Eric.
So it's not just me?
No, I still like it a lot, despite its flaws.
Okay.
And
Interested to hear that when we get into it. How about you, Steven?
I'll just say rose-tinted glasses, and I'll get more to that later.
Well, let me get into the overview and facts real quick so we can get into that, because I think we'll probably have a lot to say on Reach. So let's get started here. Halo Reach, released September 14th, 2010 on the Xbox 360, and is the fifth installment in the Halo series, and is a prequel to Halo Combat Evolved. The game was later re-released as DLC for the Master Chief Collection on December 3rd, 2019. In this game, players take the role of Noble 6, a member of an elite team of Spartans, when the human world known as Reach falls under a Covenant attack. After... Oh, you want to say something, Gaff?
An elite team of Spartan 3s, to be precise.
Okay.
Not the same variety as Master Chief.
Right. Gotcha. After Halo 3's development, one team went on to create Halo 3 ODST, which we already discussed in the last episode, while another team went on to develop Halo Reach. This team was led by creative director Marcus Leto and design lead Christian Allen, and they considered many different concepts and approaches to this game. One of the rejected ideas was actually a sequel to Halo 3. They decided instead to create a prequel to the first Halo game to take place on Reach during a pivotal time during the Human Covenant War. According to Leto, Reach as a fictional planet was just a great candidate to play around with. It's such a rich world with such a great fiction surrounding it. Leto recalled that making a character-driven story was a great challenge. The players would come to know more about them as they progressed through the story, but the Spartan characters also had to behave intelligently. Community manager Brian Gerard, he's still employed at he's employed at 343 now, right?
I think so.
I remember.
You said Brian Gerard?
Yeah.
I think he's taken a higher role in the company.
Yeah, I don't think he's the current community manager. That goes to Unishek, which I don't know his real name.
So I remember seeing Brian's name on all the Inside Infinite and stuff like that regarding Halo Infinite. So it's pretty cool to see him still involved in the series. But anyways, he pushed for allowing players to choose a female Noble 6 and have the cutscenes adapt accordingly, which is pretty good.
Woo!
Yes, let's go.
Let's go, yeah. Let's see here. The post-credit scene was also the post-credit sequence was also a subject of intense discussion. Some at Bungie wanted to remove it. However, according to executive producer Joe Tung, the survive component felt great to us. We definitely talked about different versions of how that was happening and different versions of ending the game cinematically. But I think the way that it ultimately ended up is just a really well-paced, significant, emotionally impactful ending. I'd agree a little bit. I'll get into it a little more.
I agree as well.
Originally, the team intended to port existing Halo 3 assets to Reach and update them. When developing Halo 3, Bungie had to shrink parts of the game to fit the game engine's limitations. However, Bungie wanted Reach to look better than past Halo titles, which I think it does. It looks a lot better.
It does.
Bungie's 3D artist Scott Shepard stated, "The more we started looking into this, the more we found that realistically we could rebuild each asset from scratch with a huge increase in quality without significantly investing more time." And so the text resolution, the polygon counts were increased, and due to the game's prequel nature, the art team was given the opportunity to redesign key enemies, weapons, and other elements of the series. The game engine was also redesigned. Bungie hired a motion capture expert to create more realistic character animations. The devs also improved on improving the AI of enemies, and rather than scripting encounters, they focused on more sandbox approaches to battles.
So shout out to the art style of this game. If you really look closely at the armors of the Spartans, you can see chips of paint being worn off and all these dents and scratches. It just feels like there's battle damage and that these guys have been through some stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
it very much fits with the war torn era that Reach is currently going through. So shout out.
Halo Reach was once again scored by Marty O'Donnell with additional music by Michael Salvatore. The music was written to be more somber and more visceral since the plot is character driven and focused more on a planet already known to have fallen in the Halo lore. Halo Reach had a multiplayer beta open to owners of Halo 3 ODST. Bungie estimated about 2 to 3 million players for the upcoming beta at the time. Due to development schedules, Bungie had to release a 6-week-old beta full of bugs and issues already fixed in newer builds. More than 2.7 million players participated in the beta. When the beta launched, more than 1 million players played on the first day, which caused, server issues, which still happens to this day. Some things never change. Bungie used the beta to fix mistakes, glitches, and make balancing changes. The beta generated over 360,000 forum posts on Bungie's community forums and used some feedback to adjust the game. Halo Reach launched on September 14th, 2010 with 3 different editions. The game received critical acclaim and made $200 million in the first day's sales, a record for the franchise. But Halo Reach was Bungie's final game in the Halo franchise before the franchise was handed over to 343 Industries.
The end of an era.
For sure. There's a lot more stuff I could have gone into, but I did not want this section to take too long, so there's that. Just, the basics. Any thoughts on any development stuff, guys?
I want to give another shout out to the music.
Oh yeah.
The main Halo games, their music, they got a lot of pumped up actiony music, especially the electric guitar. That's an integral part of the Mjolnir theme, like the main Halo theme that everyone thinks about. There are no electric guitars in this game. There's a lot of drums, a lot of war drums, and as you said, yeah, very somber and visceral, which really helps with the tone that this game is trying to set.
Yep. Steven, anything to add there?
Yeah, for the music, it just seemed more. He nailed what he was going for when you said somber and visceral, right? You've got the violins and the cellos underscoring a lot of the mood for when you're really getting into the gravity of a lot of the situations you're encountering. These people torn from their homes and their stations, because as we'll get into it, it was kind of a surprise for a lot of people, and so everyone just had to kind of evacuate, and you kind of feel that right in the tone, and the setup. I just thinking when you get into battles and stuff, Gaffney mentioned, the drums, they start to kick up and you really feel the percussion kind of pounding in your chest if you're listening with headphones, and it does elevate the battles up a little bit, I'll say, to have that backing you up and you're like, yeah, I'm part of this awesome fucking team here and we're gonna take out this because because they're killing our people. So I don't know, I really just enjoyed hearing the change up, and it does still hit the action notes, I'll say that too. So I think, and this is kind of maybe weird and might contrast with some of the other things I'll say later, but I think this is the best score of the Halos that I've played so far. Not most iconic. I think that when I'm saying score, I mean the tone piece, right? When you're playing throughout, I feel it is the best, the most fitting, and the best theme, I guess, for the game, right? Apples to apples, you'll match them together, they make a perfect pairing. So I just feel like it really brought the right moods at the right time. And when it doesn't stick out a lot, I think is when soundtracks kind of do their best. When it really blends and makes you feel like you're part of the moment is how I felt when I was playing through again. And when I first played it, I feel the same way, I think. So this kind of carries through. But I played about halfway through the campaign, and that's something that really stuck out to me was during the quiet parts, you really get this you get the high swelling I think they're violins, right? And then you just hear that loud undertoned as you're sneaking up on an encampment, and then when you start fighting actually and they notice you, it starts kicking up with the drums, and it's all right, now we're in it, and now I feel like a Spartan. So shout out to Marty O'Donnell for that one.
Yeah, I enjoyed the music in this game a lot. Like that main theme, like in the Master Chief Collection doesn't hit as hard, but like when you start up Halo Reach, and like on the original Xbox 360 version, it's like I'm pretty sure it shows you like the entire background of Reach, and it's playing the music with like the Halo chant going on for a little bit, and then it kicks in with like all the drums and all this stuff. It's like so good, and like you can hear a
Yeah.
little bit in the Master Chief Collection, but I feel like it really hits it hard in the original version. That's for sure.
It's very different.
Yeah. But yeah, that's enough about all that stuff, the development overview. Gaff, hit us with that plot. Explore the plot with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a trip back to the past. All right? Before the Master Chief, before the War on Earth, before the Ark and the Halo rings, let's ground ourselves a little bit. Let's go back to Reach, which is a planet that we've only heard about thus far. And Reach is very significant, especially if you're a book reader. Reach was basically humanity's like strongest planet aside from Earth. Reach was so important, and it was basically like they're the next best thing. And as if you read the books, you know that it falls, and that was a very humongous turning point for the Human Covenant War. And so in this game, we're finally gonna break it down a little bit and see exactly how it fell. So we begin on a giant shot of the planet Reach overall, and then we go back down to the ground, and we see warthogs driving, we see falcons flying through the air, and then we get a certain character being dropped off to join his new buddies. Well, I say he, but it could be a she depending on who you pick. This is Noble 6, and he is joining Noble Team, who's comprised of 5 other members. We got Carter, who is the leader. We got Kat, who has a prosthetic arm. We have George, who is a giant. And fun fact, he's actually a Spartan too. He's from Master Chief's generation. We have Emil, the badass in the EVA helmet with the skull carving. And we have June, the sniper. And we have Noble 6, who apparently is a very dangerous individual because Kat says that all the info on him is blacked out and they can't read anything on him. He's super mysterious and scary, and he's just cool. Also, like this game, bonus points for this game because it lets you place your customized Spartan into the campaign.
That's
So you
cool.
can give him or her like any armor you want, and it'll be in the game, and it just looks awesome. It really puts you into the story. And Noble 6, he or she is not a silent protagonist. They do have speaking lines, which is a nice touch.
Yeah, I do like that.
Anyway, so Noble Team, they got the new member because their last Noble 6 died, so now they're back to a full roster. And the first mission is to investigate these insurrectionists because there's been some troubles running amok. So they get on the Falcon and they get flown to the place and they investigate. They meet some locals. The locals aren't happy to see them because the UNSC and the insurrectionists they're the ones at war before the Covenant. So we're investigating, and then we find plasma damage, which is very peculiar because plasma damage means alien Covenant. And if Covenant aren't Reach, that's a very, very bad thing. Because they're not supposed to know where Reach is. So we're going, and then guess what? We find Covenant, we find grunts, we find jackals, we find elites, and it's very bad. Eventually, we break into this the safe house, or we think it's a safe house because we're investigating this damaged tech, and we find some dead scientists. And then suddenly, an elite zealot drops in on us, and it's a really sick cutscene because it's in first person, and the elite drops down on you, and it roars at you, and you punch in the mouth, and then they scatter. Yes, Eric.
The cutscene in this game are great. I love how like a lot of them are in first person from Noble 6's view, and they transition in the gameplay. Oh, they're so good. A lot more action like in it too compared to like the other Halo games. They're so good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you reminded me because the cutscenes not only are some of them in first person, but a lot of them really seem to be through the frame of a handheld camera.
Yeah.
The camera does like bob sometimes, and there are a lot of points where it feels like the cameraman or person is like moving, positioning around the characters as it's happening. It's a very interesting detail that they put in for this game. Anyway, we kill the zealots, we secure the thing, and then we get this young insurrectionist girl to safety, and Carter is talking to the Unity command, and he enacts the winter contingency, which basically means the Covenant have found Reach, and we are fucked. And this is very, very bad. We got to act now. So right off the bat, they set the tone. Humanity is in trouble because if the Covenant just get reached, then it's pretty much over for everyone. And so that kick it into high gear. We go to Oni Sword Base because we have to rescue a certain very precious individual. We don't know who that person is yet, but we gotta secure her. So we get to Sword Base, we're fighting guys, and we're shooting banshees with rockets, and we're fighting elites. Also, I want to point out in this game, there are a lot of cool new elite designs. They're in several different colors, and they got different like carapace helmets.
Yeah,
And
like
it's
there's like
actually
some.
kind of,
Sorry, there's like some that look like a space helmet or whatever. It looks like it's
yeah,
weird, but like it's pretty cool with like different designs.
I love the variations. Yeah. So we secure Sword Base, and then who do you find that we have to secure? None other than Dr. Catherine Halsey. She's behind a glass door, a glass frame, and she's talking to Noble Team, and she fucking hates our guts, man. Because you know what? You want to know why? We're Spartan threes, and to her, we're the cheap knockoffs of her children. So I guess no hard feelings. I guess it makes sense that why she doesn't really like us. But yeah, she is nice to George though because he's a Spartan too.
Is this the first game that Halsey's in? Like that we actually see her?
Yes, actually, surprisingly.
Oh, interesting. I don't know. I don't know if
Yeah.
she was like in any like the Halo 3 terminals thingy-majiggies or anything like that. But
For how
okay, that's
significant
enough.
she is, yeah, this is her first appearance in game.
Oh, also I
We
don't
tell
like
her
the
all.
Carter. Carter was like threatening to arrest her. I'm like, do you know who the fuck you're talking to?
There's been a lot of legal troubles with Halsey and the UNSC. Yeah, it's a
Oh yeah.
recurring thing. But yeah, I like that interaction. So we leave Halsey with this like data chip, and then we go leave her. And then next up, we go to a night mission. It's a stealth mission with June, the sniper, and this line sticks out to me for some reason. He goes, "Armor piercing rounds. Take a hat off a Covenant elite at 200 yards, and they're not cheap."
Yeah, and they're not cheap. Yeah, exactly.
And then he loads the clip and he cocks it. It's awesome. Anyway, you can choose to do this mission in stealth. I don't think I did. I gave up on that real quick. You fight some
Halo's not a
elites.
stealth game. Not
Yeah,
great.
you fight some elites, and you go through the whole mission. And at the end, you finish your recon. And what you find, the Covenant have built a gigantic spire on the planet with a shield. How they do that without anyone on the planet being notified? I don't know. They're sneaky little guys, but they did, and so we gotta take that out. And so Noble Team, they're bringing the cavalry. They're sending the entire UNSC army to take down the Spire because that's how they're gonna win this war. Next cutscene, you see the whole army just rolling out. We got warthogs, we got falcons, just and pelicans. Everyone's coming in for this like one last charge, and banshees, and they meet them, and the two forces collide, and of course we lose many of the forces, and we we and Kat, we're in a warthog, and we get shot at. We do a warthog jump. Our warthog explodes, and we gotta keep pushing. We gotta continue the fight. So we grab a new weapon. We grab the grenade launcher, and then we're fighting. Along this mission, we're taking out these anti-air cannons and stuff. We're in the we're in Ghost. We're in Revenants. We're in all sorts of vehicles, and we're blowing up stuff. And then we get on the Falcon, and we're gonna take the final flight to the Spire. So we get to the spire after we get EMP'd actually, so we have to walk it. We get to the spire, we get all the way to the top, we kill some engineers actually, and we kill a sword wielding elite and a field rod elite. We kill them, we turn off the spire, and now that the shield's off, we exit out on the Falcon, and then here comes another iconic line. Carter calls in a ship to blast the spire with Mac rounds, and then George goes, Mac rounds in atmosphere, which I guess is pretty crazy because yeah, it's the equivalent of nukes, and I guess they're only used to using it in space. So using it on a terrestrial structure is kind of bonkers. But yeah, a giant Unity ship that looks like a floating gun. It shoots a Mac round into the spire and it gets destroyed. Yay, we did it! We saved Reach. Nope, because in the sky, a gigantic Covenant supercarrier lights up, and it just knocks the Unity ship out flat, like, barely even trying, and it's bad. It's very, very bad. So, what do we do now? Well, Noble team, they're pretty bummed. They're sad because they thought they were kicking ass, but really they're not. Um, and I really, really like this scene because a lot of team bonding. We got good dynamics between everyone. Cass talking to Carter, and it's only a good line because something I forget exactly how it sets up, but June asks if they're really sending Spartan teams to evacuate civilian populations, and Carter doesn't answer because the implication of that is that they're losing the war. And then Kat addresses it. She goes, "Oh no." Carter goes, "Are you saying we're losing?" And Kat goes, "I'm asking you if we've lost." So the gravity of the situation is really starting to set in. And of course, Emil is in the background. He's saying some snide remarks and generally pissing everyone off, but that's just who he is because he's cool. But Kat, she makes a plan. She gets everyone to huddle up. She borrows Emil's knife and she starts making some drawings in the sand, which is weird because I don't think she actually makes any drawings. She's just scratching at the dirt with a knife. Basically, the plan is she knows Noble 6 used to be part of a super secret space program. And so, using his skills, he's going to take the ship and someone else. They're going to fly the super carrier. They're going to set off an explosive in the ship. And they're not going to use a nuke. They're going to use a slip space drive. Essentially, they're going to teleport half the ship away and therefore destroying it, which I think is awesome. So we're storming the beaches of Normandy here. We fight our way to the space station. We clear it out, and then me and George, we get on one ship, and then we go fly to space. And this is really funny because it's kind of like the cutscene here and the Buzz Lightyear trailer. They kind of use like similar shots when they're going flying to space.
Never heard that
uncanny.
comparison before. All right. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
that's funny.
It is a weird comparison to make, though.
I guess there's only so many ways you can film someone flying to space. But anyways, we fly to space and we get our first Halo mission ever where we get to fly a spaceship. How do you guys feel about this?
This was pretty cool.
From what I remember, because I only played about half when I replayed this game. But from what I remember being like, holy shit. Holy shit, this is a big moment, right? Because it's never happened before. So actual practice, from what I remember, is all right, you know? Yeah, I'll let you get into it though.
I mean, all I'll say is on Legendary, it's a huge pain in the ass because it's very much hard to dodge and regen your shields when you're in a spaceship.
Yeah, I died a couple times here, even though I was
Yeah.
playing on normal. Just because I didn't realize that once you run out of shields, they don't regen. Or maybe they did, I don't know. I just lost a lot of health at one point, and then I died all of a sudden. And then I also evaded and hit one of the space stations and instantly died. So there's that.
Yeah, if you ding your ship against those space stations, you're dead.
Yeah. So I died a few times. I was getting a little frustrated, but I was like, okay. But it was still pretty cool.
But yeah, they tried something new with this mission, and I appreciate them for that. It was very ambitious. And I did like flying in a saber. I did like blasting.
One thing I want to touch on, though, real quick, Gaffney, sorry. One thing I wanted to touch on, being a Bungie fan and following their lineage through to Destiny and Destiny 2 subsequently, still can't fly ships. Still can't fly the damn ships in the fucking games. Like, you did it in Reach, but now you can't put it in Destiny when you have all these fucking cool ships and cosmetics for those, and you see them for loading screens. What the fuck is that? I'm a spacefarer and I don't see the flying? Sorry. Anyways, go ahead.
They just never figured it out. They tried.
Yeah,
did
just
it
too
again.
hard. They couldn't do it for Destiny, man.
So we disable the ships on a Corvette because that's how we're gonna use to infiltrate the supercarrier. We get in the ship. We take out everyone on the ship. We clear it out, and we have some reinforcements. We have the UNSC Savannah backing us up. However, a lot of things go wrong because the Savannah gets destroyed, and that was our lift home. As well, I think the bomb can only be manually detonated now because something got broken, I guess. So there's only one option here, and it's very, very sad. George, he makes a sacrifice play. He picks Noble 6 up with one arm while doing like a handshake bro hug, and he manhandles you so he can drop you off.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts from the campaign.
And then before he throws you into space, he tells you, to tell everyone else, tell them to make it count.
Tell him to make it count.
And he lets you fly off.
George.
And you're floating away from the Corvette, and you watch the Corvette intersect with the supercarrier, and then you see a gigantic slip space rupture, taking out both ships. And what's supposed to happen is that you save the day. You stop the invasion, you save Reach, you save humanity, everything's good. Which, fun fact, this is another instance of a Spartan falling through space. It's just tradition at this point. However, your heart will then drop because in the next bit of the cutscene, you hear this: slip space rupture detected. Slip space rupture detected.
Over and
More
over.
Covenant supercarriers, like a dozen of them. They pop in out of nowhere. So think about this: George sacrificed
Make it count.
himself. They put all their chips on this last mission to stop the invasion, and they sacrificed a lot. And the result, they just got 10 times more coming their way.
Yeah, nothing. And that was like, that hit home to me when I first played this game. Like, holy crap, it isn't a good ending. It isn't a good ending. It was terrible, and George died for almost nothing.
Noble 6, he falls to Earth, and he survives with just a little bit of a sore arm. He finds a pistol, and he's prowling through the streets of New Alexandria, which is like a big capital city on Reach. That city has also fallen. Lots of civilians have died. Everyone's trying to be evacuated. So while you're trying to flag down your team to rescue you, you're also trying to rescue the civilians. And that's cool. It's very heroic of Noble 6. And this mission, we get to find the brutes. The brutes are in this game. However, there's very few varieties of them, and you only have the gravity hammer and the spiker. No other cool brute weapons. You fight the Covenant, you rescue as many civilians as you can, and you meet up with Noble Team, and you tell them that George is dead, and it sucks. But they gotta move on. And in the next mission, this next mission sucks because you're in a Falcon for like 40% of it, and you're trying to find all these like random towers to complete objectives on. You gotta find the towers, and you're a slow ass Pelican, and you can die very easily from the banshees that are around you. It's not so fun. You complete the objectives as New Alexandria is literally being glassed and falling apart all around you. Or sorry, not glassed, not yet. You meet up with the rest of the Noble Team, and again, it's another very, very sad cutscene. Emil says George died thinking he just saved the entire human race. And Carter says, we should all be so lucky.
Yeah.
But then, oh yeah, Steve?
Sorry, the gravity of that line after hearing the subsequent events, George having his hero moment, then shortly after you hear all the future unfolding events, and then you're just like, fuck, that's so awful. And then you hear this later, you're just like, how you really feel the weight of the line at that point. And I don't know, it just really affected me to hear. I just remember this as being one of the most memorable parts for me.
Definitely, especially with what happens next.
Even with how old the game, I still remember and feel for that line. So yeah, sorry, I just wanted to touch on that because it is one of those touchstones where it's like, this is peak writing in my opinion, like, and peak like unfolding of plot, I guess, in a way that really does invest you in the whole team dynamic that they have here. So
alarms go off. There's a big radiation signal coming. Where is it? Bam, it's right here. A giant Covenant glassing beam strikes like right outside their building. Noble Team, they get off their asses and they run. They head for the nearest elevator. They split up. And as they're doing it, they're talking things. Because Kat already has their next mission being sent to them. Noble 6 and Kat, they get into one elevator. Everyone else is in another elevator. And here's a nice touch. Kat, she misses the elevator button the first time because she's so dazed. And she's not wearing her helmet. No, she is wearing a helmet. Never mind. And she says, first glassing? Yeah, me too. They get down the elevator and they're running. And Kat is saying stuff. And then mid-sentence, she gets a needle through the head.
We're being redeployed to Sword Base.
Sword?
Covenant own it now.
Which is why they want us for torch and burn up. Keep Dr. Halsey's excavation data from falling into enemy hands.
It hasn't already.
Maybe, but according to Holland, the Covenant are still hunting for something.
Where does he get off calling a demolition a priority one?
Come on, get in!
Let's go, come on!
This one fucking surprised me. Like, it came out of fucking nowhere. I was like, holy shit. Fucking needle straight to the head.
Like, this is what you can do with new characters, right? That you know may or may not survive. You can just do anything with them, and they can give you so many surprises like this. It's brutal, man.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
getting killed right just like that. Yeah, and sad music kicks in. They see the shooter up there. Fun fact, it's the same zealot that ambushed you in the first mission. So he's kind of like the antagonist, or villain, you could say. Noble team, they bring Kat's body to the elevator. And I've always found this interesting because there's no audio, but if you turn on subtitles, you can read lines of civilians just like panicking and freaking out, just wondering if they're going to die because their city is being glassed above them. And then it fades from black, and it's a very beautiful landscape, just molten ground everywhere. And Noble team, they have Kat's body in their arms, and they're flagging down evac. So yeah, things just get worse and worse. But then we get our new mission. It's called the package. They're being sent back to Oni base, which is weird because Covenant owned that base. Now it's been overrun, but whatever, they have orders, they're gonna do it. So the remaining 4 members of Noble team, they infiltrate it with the help of some ODSTs. Fun fact. They get through, and it's cool because you're retracing the steps of the second mission. You get inside the base, and it's empty. There's no civilians. There's no one there to greet them, and it's very ominous and eerie. And it's even more scary when you get led down this secret corridor. And who do you meet? Of course, it's Dr. Catherine Halsey. She called you. She has a mission for you because she has the secret to turning the tide in this war. And the secret is contained in this little tiny AI module. And who's in that? It's Cortana. And you see it for just a little blip, and you hear some of the notes of the main theme, and it just strikes you right in the feels. How'd you guys feel about this, Cortana and being in Reach?
Wish she had more lines though. I wish she talked.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice tease, right?
Yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less. It's really cool that they're
like a cameo, basically.
Yeah, they're kind of setting up for the subsequent stories. So kind of cool to see the background and kind of how it's implemented if you don't read the books or anything. So
here Halsey basically tells you that the Covenant are looking for Forerunner tech. And so with that intel, Cortana has it, and they need to get it off planet. They need to get it to the Pillar of Autumn because that's one of the last ships that are leaving Reach. And because the captain is Captain Keyes, who is someone that Halsey trusts very much for obvious reasons. And so she puts Cortana in this little cylinder, and she hands it to Noble Six, and he grabs it, and then she asks him, she tells him, I need to hear you say you have it. And he says, I have it. So it's neat. Noble Six, he's carrying Cortana, the last hope of humanity, in his pocket, and he's gonna hand it off to Chief. And then the last mission in this game, so June separates off. He's gonna lead Halsey to a stronghold for evac, and that's the last we see from June. And spoilers, he goes on to become one of the recruiters for the Spartan 4 program.
I had to look that up. I was like, what the fuck happened with June?
So the last 3 members of Noble Team, they're on a Pelican, and they're flying, but they get shot down. And so Carter, he's mortally injured, and so he has to sacrifice himself again. The other 2 jump off while he distracts the Air Forces. And as they're doing it, they see a scarab, and they can't get around it. But Carter, he says, Car's going to take it down. And Emil says, sir, you don't have the firepower. And he says, no, but I have the mass. Good luck, Noble Team. Caught her out. And he rams himself into the Scarab to let them pass through. God damn. Emil and Noble Six, the last two remaining survivors, they're fighting. And during this level, we actually get to meet the bugs again. Those stupid bugs that are not good in any game they're in.
This is like the only level they're in, right?
I think so. To
my knowledge, yeah, but thank God, because I hate them.
I just ran past
What a
them.
weird addition. They almost got away with not doing them. Almost.
I ran past them. I was like, no, fuck this.
We see the Pillar of Autumn in the distance, and we eventually fight our way through there. And then we get on the Mac gun, or Emil gets on the Mac gun to clear a way for the Pillar of Autumn to actually touch down. And we're fighting off brutes and elites, and we're holding the line. Pillar of Autumn touches down. We give keys Cortana, and things should be good. We should be get on the ship. We go home and happily ever after. But an elite zealot team touches down at the Mac gun, surrounding Emil. Emil, he kills a couple of them. He shoots them point blank with a shotgun because he's a badass. And he's like, who's next, huh? And then a zealot stabs him through the back with an energy sword. And it's over for him. But Emil utters the most badass line in all of Halo history, which is, I'm ready. How about you? Then he turns around and stabs the elite in the neck with his kukri. And they both die.
Who's next? I'm ready! How about you?
Oh, man.
What
No.
a fucking badass! Like I feel that even now, still, man.
Also,
they
quick
just
question-
hit you with punch after punch.
Yeah, quick question about his helmet. Is that a Gears of War reference?
No, I don't think so. I
No,
think
it looks a lot similar to like the Gears of War
it's a
symbol.
skull, I guess.
Yeah, but like I don't know.
So this presents another problem because they can't leave Reach without cover. So Noble Six, he makes the ultimate sacrifice as well. He's gonna man the gun while the Pillar of Autumn gets off, and Captain Keyes wishes him good luck. So we fight our way back, and then we actually kill the zealot that has been plaguing us since the beginning of this game. We get on the gun, we shoot down phantoms, we shoot down banshees, and we give the Pillar of Autumn enough time to get off the planet. And then, with that ship gone and humanity's last hope gone, Noble Six is one of the last few humans left on the entire planet as it's being glassed. Fade to black. Fade from black. You thought that was the last mission? It wasn't. The last mission is called the Lone Wolf. And your only objective? What is it, Steve? Do you remember?
Survive, right?
Survive. Very fitting to Noble Six, as he was called a lone wolf in the beginning of the game. And man, this level just like hits you in the gut. It's just you, and there's dust all around you, and it's a horde mode. That's what it is. Waves and waves of Covenant come get you in increasing levels of difficulty, and you are the last man standing on the planet. You survive as long as you can, but the more damage you take, the more cracks appear in your helmet, and it eventually gets so damaged that it triggers the next cutscene. The helmet is so destroyed that Noble Six takes off his helmet and dumps it on the ground. And from the POV of the helmet, we see Noble Six just taking out motherfuckers left and right with every weapon he has in his arsenal. And you think the elites have him, but he doesn't. He just keeps fighting back. But eventually he does get shot, and he gets overwhelmed and outnumbered. But even when he's on the floor, bleeding from plasma, he's still taking out like 2 more elites until finally we see an elite thrust an energy sword into him, or about to, but the camera gets cut off by another energy dagger in front. And that's the end of the game. We get a little eulogy from Catherine Halsey far, far in the future. We see Noble Six's helmet now just part of Reach, right? Because of all the overgrowth. Reach has been terraformed. It's been reclaimed. It does have a happy ending, like far, far in the future. And it's all because of Noble Six's sacrifice. And he will be remembered. As well, during the credits, I forgot to mention, we get a nod to Halo Combat Evolve, it's the very first scene in the game. It's Keyes asking Cortana if they've been followed. and Cortana tells them that they're safe. The end. That is Halo Reach.
Well done.
Mhm.
As always, dude. I'm at a mix for this game. I don't know if we'll get into it, but
No, we will. Don't worry.
yeah, I don't know. Like I said, rose tinted glasses, but everything it just reminded me why I think of this as one of the highlights of for Halo and the story. So
So let's just get into our likes and dislikes and like talk about what we think about it. So I guess you can go ahead, Steven, just like go talk about like which one.
so I will start with dislikes so I can get them out of the way, right? Now, and this was where the rose tinted lenses come in, as I remember this being just flat out my favorite Halo game, right? And some parts of that still hold up, but I'll get to that in a second. Gameplay wise, I actually liked going back to play them, and I don't know if this is for like remasters or anything, but I liked ODST's gameplay better than this game.
Interesting.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if the more open structure helped this game, if you ask me.
What do you mean by more open structure?
So you have multiple ways you can like, because it's not necessarily open, right? But you can attempt it from, and I guess that's kind of been more a Halo thing. But there was something in this one that I didn't feel like worked, and I can't remember. Maybe it's like the actual design of like the encounters, as far as like the layout of the level, right? Like I didn't feel. I don't know how to explain it. It just didn't hold up as well as the other level design when I'm comparing like, all right, well, I remember the elevator scene from ODST, right? And I remember that as one of the touchstones for like, wow, that was kind of cool to like defend the elevator and then they blow it. This one, I think the biggest combat encounter that I remember was nighttime when you're sneaking up on the Covenant, and he does make the comment about, hey, these are expensive. So I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it was the movement, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think it felt as good as previous iterations, or as tight maybe. The equipment, I'm not sure how you feel about that.
Equipment.
Yeah, that's one of my dislikes. I don't know if it's age, right? Like there's too much to compare it to now versus back then where it was kind of a newer thing for FPS and things like that. Nowadays a lot of them feel like, I don't know why they had a cooldown.
Especially sprint.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna do sprint, just do sprint. That was very weird to me. The decoy, I couldn't get it to work how I want it to half the time. Like the hollow decoy.
It works on me a lot in multiplayer though. I get fooled.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, me
I
too.
remember that. And I used it a lot in like firefight, and that was cool. Yeah, just the equipment overall, I didn't think felt well and was not well implemented. The cooldown sucks. The items themselves didn't really. I don't know. I didn't feel like I needed them at all. Like I was just shooting baddies.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, I guess just the gameplay in general is kind of my dislike. It wasn't as tight. Some things really didn't make sense. And I don't know if that was intentional because you're not the chief, right? I don't know if they changed anything up in that regard, but it felt similar. Just something about it didn't hit like the other ones.
But this game implemented something that is very universally hated among Halo fans, which is reticle bloom, and they did patch that out. But it's there in the initial. It was there in the initial game.
Okay.
But besides that, I mean, I like the shooting. I like using the DMR. I think it's a very good precision weapon. Like I like it more than the battle rifle, and the needle rifle. I like that a lot as well. And the grenade launcher. I love how the new guns add to the sandbox. But I agree with you on the equipment. I think they tried something new, but it didn't pan out for them. It could have been done a lot better. And they tried again. I mean, a different studio tried again in Halo 4 and still didn't work. So there's a good reason why they got rid of them eventually. Level design, I don't agree with you there. I like how much more open it is. I mean, there's still objectives. There's one objective, and you press a button, and that's how you end the level.
Right.
Or other times, you just kill everyone, and that's how you win. and I like the settings of them all, like the beach, the clubs, in New Alexandria, and the final mission, right? When you're on the Mac gun and you're on like the shipping platform, there's like there's like a whole bunch of different like routes and platforms to explore in there. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I just feel like maybe it was too busy for me. Maybe it wasn't as clear cut, and I just playing the other ones. I was more used to being more directed, I suppose. So maybe it just kind of off put me in that way. But it is more busy. There's some more verticality, which I'll give the bonus points to for that, which I did appreciate. Because there's like multi-leveled like bases and things like that, so it felt a little more vertical. The guns, so likes, I love the music, love the score. I don't know, like the sound design of the guns always impeccable. That's something Bungie's always been great at. Everything, sound design, music, all of it's great. The visual presentation, I really love how detailed the textures were, like you were saying earlier. It felt used in a good way,
Yeah.
you know? Like it wasn't polished armor, it wasn't everything clear. Things had battle damage. You had destroyed parts of buildings that really felt like, all right, well, some shit went down here. And it's in that in other games and splashes, but I think it really nailed it here as to like setting up the scene. So shout out to the visual and audio presentation as a whole. I really liked. The story, my favorite still. My favorite still. Now again, I haven't played 4 for reference, so I'll have to have caveat that. But so far as Halo stories go, it's my favorite. Might be a little biased, but because I read the books, and I'll say really did a good job at actually implementing some of the elements there. Character development, even though like most of them, all of them died basically. So, and like you said, you can do that with new characters, and I get that's what was going to happen anyways. But even knowing what was going to happen at the end of the story, it still hit. Every single death hit, and that's one of the things that I wish carried forward in a sense, the emotional gravity and weight. Because when I played through 5, I felt none of that. Right.
Because it's a lot easier to empathize with a war and trying to fight it and save your people
Sure.
versus like fighting aliens and saving the universe.
Yeah, and you really, it was a cipher. It was another cipher character, which did work. Like, you're Noble Six, but also he doesn't really, like he's shrouded, right? His file is shrouded and blacked out, basically. So you can kind of attach yourself and your own persona onto him in a sense, and you feel like a badass in your own right. So when you hit that last mission and you're just like fighting for your life, you're fighting and fighting and fighting, and like you said, you do get overwhelmed eventually. There's just no way around it. But the fact that they let you do that, that was probably my favorite part of any Halo. Like that's my favorite Halo mission ever, bar none, because everything leading up to that, really, really, like that was a home run to me. And it kind of reminded me of like, I guess spoilers for God of War 3. When you're beating the crap out of Zeus, they just let you go. They keep letting you go and go and go. And he's a god, right? So it's like not, you know what I mean? Like you're not it's the finality of it all because you can't really do anything. And that kind of transferred here, as well as like, man, you're gonna keep going, but eventually you're just gonna stop. And you're gonna get worn out and you're gonna get overrun and overtaken and you're gonna lose. So having a bad ending per se, for this arc of the story at least, really set like, for one, it was Bungie's last developed Halo game, which you can't ignore that. Being like, oh, I'm sad that they're not doing Halo anymore, kind of thing. Which is when I played it, like after knowing that the separation. But all of that hit at a time where it was just super important to me to have a good story in games, and that one combined with Halo, and I don't know, man. I like the firefight too, and I'll get to that later. But shout out to just all the overall presentation, but really the gameplay it wasn't as tight to me. So,
Oh yeah, I'll talk about story. So I don't think this is the best story.
I agree.
Even despite all the things I've said so far, Like there are a lot of cool moments, right? And a lot of cool lines. Because of the characters. Now, I like Reach similar to how I like Rogue One in Star Wars. Like the characters themselves are pretty blank. They'll give the edge to Reach, but the characters they allow us to see what's happening to Reach itself and what's going on in the war. And so, what this game does the best in the series is atmosphere, right? We've talked about it enough. We feel just how heavy everything is and how sad everything is, and it gets to you. Like you want these guys to win, but you know they're not. You know they're gonna lose, and that sucks. But they can make that compelling anyway. But still, the characters, I gotta knock points off for that. So yeah, that's all I'll say about the story. It's definitely very moving, even though the characters aren't so hot.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Gap. Like for some reason, even though I've never really played Reach, I saw like the people like the story because like all the like of all the characters and like what was going on. Just like word of mouth over time, like people were saying like, "Oh, Reach is really good. The story is good." But like I played it, and I kind of felt nothing for like the story or the characters. Like I feel like they don't give enough time to these characters to, like build them out and stuff. So like when they die, I'm like, okay, I don't really care. Cat's death was the only one that surprised me, only because it was sudden and out of nowhere. I feel like these characters, they just have like almost no personality to them, and they feel blank. And like I didn't, like I said, I didn't feel nothing when they died. And for being like a character driven story that they stated they were making, like it didn't work for me. That I feel like that severely hindered my enjoyment of Reach too, because the gameplay was still fine. I still like it's the classic Halo gameplay, you know. It's you're still shooting the Covenant, you're still shooting all the bad guys over there with your different guns. But I will say I did like some of the guns they had, like the needle rifle's pretty cool. The DMR is another, I guess, staple of the Halo franchise at this point, even though I don't think
Gone in Halo Infinite.
It's gone. Yeah. So there's
Yeah,
that.
but they replaced it with like an auto version of it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nothing can beat out the battle rifle. I'm just saying that right now.
Yo, hot take: the needle rifle is better than the carbine.
I have to think about that one. But
yeah, me too.
I think I agree. Depending on, especially after they removed the bloom. Yeah, that I think you're right.
Yeah, and then they also
Same
had
concept though, right? Like
Yeah.
Then they also
although
had,
there's an explosion at the end. Sorry.
yeah. Then they also had that it's not the Covenant beam rifle. It's like a variation of it where
It's called the focus rifle.
yeah, you hold it down and it's like a continuous beam.
I mean, that gun's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's bad, but I like how they added
Good
like
idea.
new variations of guns. Basically, I kind of like instead of just having it be the same weapons you see all the time. You know, I thought that was pretty cool.
The Revenant,
Yeah,
which is like
that was cool.
a fusion of the Ghost and the Wraith. It's
Yeah.
super powerful.
That was pretty. I like that a lot. Yeah, yeah.
The Falcon is a vehicle I'm still wishing they would bring back in some form
Same.
because we don't have any aerial cooperative vehicles, right? Even the Hornet. I mean, you can have passengers in the Hornet, but they don't have any cool guns. The
DLC
Falcon,
for
they give you
Infinite?
guns.
But yeah, I just have some stuff written down here. Like I said, Noble 6, I'm kind of iffy on. He's another self-insert character. But at least you can customize him. At least he talks, so he's pretty cool there. But like I said, I didn't really feel too much for him, which I guess is like not really the fault of the character itself. It's just like how the way they made it. But he did go out on a badass way. I'm not gonna lie there. A useless thing that they added, but I like how you can drive the civilian vehicles in this game, even though they're fucking terrible.
The forklift,
Like the forklift and the trucks, yeah. I'm just like, that's a cool little touch. You didn't have to do that, but I like that. Halsey's first appearance in the game, which surprisingly, considering how important she is, she doesn't get much screen time in this series, which is a little weird.
But she gets the most important screen time. Okay, she gives you Cortana.
Yeah, yeah. At least she starts getting more screen time in later games, but we'll get there later. Like I said earlier, the cutscenes are a step up from previous games, you know? I like them a lot more. Besides the Halo 2 anniversary stuff, those are top notch, you can't beat those. Music's great, and like I said, Cat's death shocked me. Straight up needle through the head, goddamn. Out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. This game, I don't feel really anything about. I'm just like meh on it. Like,
So
sorry, I'm just
I
like
wanted to touch on that, and this is I feel like, and maybe we'll just go around right and say like if we think it holds up. I don't think it does. I think Rose
Really?
lenses.
I think-
yeah. So
I think
Go
it's
ahead, Derek.
it's still good to fun to play, but like it doesn't hold up as the other ones because like
Right.
the graphics still are great. The gameplay is the classic Halo gameplay. I just think it's when it's like the story and the characters are just like nothing to me. I don't care at all. I don't even think they explained why the Covenant were invading Reach. I think after Gaff explained it, it's because they were after the Forerunner tech that Cortana had. But other than that, I'm like, I don't care. These
You
characters
don't
mean
think it
nothing
holds
to
up as
these
much,
characters
right?
mean nothing to me. I don't know what their motivations are. Like they had like Kat was like the techie person or whatever, but they don't go into that too much. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
June was the sniper. Emil was the big. Emil was like the battle crazy one, I guess you can say. And then George was like the big the tank, I guess you can say. But like other than that, I'm just like, and Carter was I think the blandest one of them all, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's how I think they should have done it. I think they should have done it ODST style. Where
Yeah,
you're
I
going
think
on missions as each of these ones, and I think that kind of would have had more gravity as to like, all right, you're doing a sniper mission as June. You're doing, like a brute force thing as George. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they had framed it like this, where you're touching base with each of these characters in a way that ODST kind of did it,
yeah.
I think that would have stuck with me a little more, or that would have held up a little better, at least as far as that part goes, because you can't attach yourself to much of these characters. And especially if you don't read the novels, it's very hard because I think maybe that's what tinted my love of like the characters, because I'm conflating the two, right, in my head in a sense. So when something happens to them, I was more affected. So, but if you're just playing the games, like you don't have, I mean, I think you're right. You don't have as much touching base with them as was needed, I think.
Yeah, and going back and like playing these games with it in review, it makes me realize that a lot of the Halo lore isn't really a lot of it's not touched upon in the games. It's more on the books that more go in depth with that.
Oh, definitely.
Because like in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, Halsey is such an important character that obviously people playing Halo would know about her. But I'm like, but then playing Reach for the first time, like, wait, is this the first time we see Halsey in the games?
Right.
And I'm like, but she's a really important character in the lore. Like, she invented the Spartan program. She's the one that created Master Chief, and she's not touched upon at all until now. And I'm just like, damn. Maybe in the books she's like touched upon a lot earlier, but like in the games, it's not nothing until now. And I'm just like, damn. They really didn't do a good job explaining like who she is. Because like if you're just playing the games and like in order like we are now, and you see Halsey for the first time, you're like, who the hell is this person? Like, okay, she created Cortana. All right. And you don't know like how important she is until later on in the couple.
Right.
And you're like, wow, okay. So it's like a weird disconnect for me where I'm like, my knowledge of the future games and like reading the Wikipedias and stuff, like knowing more of the background of these characters is like affecting my playthrough of like what we have now, I guess is what you can say.
It's funny you mentioned the books because the very first Halo book is The Fall of Reach.
Yep.
And a part of the reason why this game is kind of contentious is because this game really messes with the pre-established Halo canon. The Fall of Reach was a much more like protracted period, I think. It didn't. There was no noble team. There was no Spartan threes. It was just the book was about Master Chief and Blue Team and how they were fighting the war. And it ends differently. And so when this game came out, like characters are in places that we thought they weren't supposed to be, but it's whatever. That's an aside. Does it hold up? I think it holds up. I think if you're not a Halo fan, if you're a guy just looking for a cool first-person shooter, this is a perfectly acceptable game because I think as far as first-person shooter campaigns go, this is up there. Multiplayer, you can have a good time with it because casuals might not be against like things like armor lock and sprint and stuff. So in my opinion, it holds up.
Yeah, I think gameplay wise it holds up. I forgot to mention the equipment. I mean, I didn't think sprinting was as bad as people like making it out to be. Like, I still don't think that, but like, I feel like a lot of the equipment in this
It was
game
weird.
just sucks. To be honest, like,
Just make it the main toolkit, man. Like, give
yeah.
me the sprint if you're gonna give it to me. Like,
And like some of the stuff in like the campaign art isn't even in multiplayer. Like the drop shield is not in multiplayer, which is like weird. I thought.
it's
Yeah.
in firefight though, so
Oh, is it okay? I didn't play.
yeah, you
Firefight.
can use the equipment, and that's actually one of my. That's the part that holds up to me the most is the
Yeah.
firefight.
But like otherwise, I feel like the equipment is like kind of useless in this game. Like you don't really need it. Like I feel like it doesn't change like encounters that much. To be honest, like the decoy is all right. Armor lock. I know armor lock shit in multiplayer was like a big thing back then, but like campaign wise, it felt like nothing. I would just like stick with the sprint just to get around faster. To be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm the opposite of you guys. I think for me the story and holds up more than the actual gameplay does.
I mean, I like the story too. Just maybe not as much, and for different
Right.
reasons.
Yeah.
And granted, I still haven't played 4, so TBD on which one's my favorite. But I still feel parts of this story are some of my favorite in Halo. So
Yeah.
Alright,
For
shall
me,
we get into the fun facts?
one more
Yep.
thing. I thought for
Okay.
sure we would see fucking Arbiter in here, like fucking up shit on Reach. Like it would be revealed that he fucking like was like commanding the fucking attack on Reach, but we don't. see
He
it.
was in the books. He is, and he
Yeah, I read-
splinters off
I read
to
the
chase
Wiki-
them to the ring.
Yeah, I read the Wikipedia and it said he was, but like you don't even see him at all here. Not even a mention. And I'm like, damn, that would have been pretty cool to find out. Like, oh, he was part of the attack on Reach.
one more thing I want to touch on. It's weird going through all these games and you think about your relationship with the Covenant, as far as release date, right? And you're playing through them this way, and you kind of frenemies Covenant as we go through the campaigns, right? At least parts of it. And then when you get to this one, you're back to square one, right? They're just a savage alien race. And it was a weird dynamic for me to go from Halo 3 then to this. Obviously, we had ODST in between where it was kind of a similar way, but you're not the chief in that one, and you don't have the same frame of reference. And I guess it could be the same argument made for this one, but I still feel like it was more, they were savages, right? It was more framed as in this game as it was like, okay, well, they're just like humans where some of them are fucking awful. But there are also some good ones as well. So it's weird having that and then coming to this where just all of them are bad, right? All of the Covenant is bad, and you're just there to exterminate them and keep them off of, the human race. So I don't know. That was weird to me. I don't think that part holds up when you go through the games as we did. So yeah, but I think we should get into the fun facts.
So Gaff, give us the fun facts.
Explore those facts.
Explore those facts.
Damn
Those
it.
fun facts. Yeah, I don't know. I'm out of it right now.
So here are some fun facts for you guys. In the cutscene where the Pillar of Autumn prepares to leave Reach, in the hangar bay of the ship, if you pull the right stick to the right, you can see a Spartan in a cryotube. That is Master Chief, who will later wake up from cryosleep in the next chronological game, Halo Combat Evolved. In the level New Alexandria, you can go to the hospital location and press a secret switch. After that, if you go to the club location in the level, instead of finding an enemy encounter, you will see grunts partying on the dance floor and a brute DJing. On the package, there's a secret room called the Tribute Room, which pays tribute to all the separate parties that have helped the Halo franchise along the way. It contains references to Bungie forum moderators, Red vs. Blue, the Warthog Jump. It also contains a picture of Marty O'Donnell, Jason Jones, as some concept art like for a Noble team. Halo Reach also had a very large marketing campaign, including a live-action trailer called Deliver Hope, which stars Kat, and another trailer detailing the birth of the Spartan 3s, starring Carter. Oh, and a couple more things. I want to drop some lore on you guys. So the Spartan 3s, yeah, they're discount Spartan 2s. The UNSC Spartan 2s are very expensive to create, right? And they got to abduct children to make them. So in order to make them more efficiently and make more of them, they took war orphans and they gave them like budget drugs, and they gave them still like pretty hardcore training, and they sent them on suicide missions, where pretty much all of them died except for like a handful, and they were very successful. But yeah, those are the Spartan 3s, and Noble Team is made up of some of those survivors. Another fun fact for you guys. So there's a conspiracy theory going on in the Halo community where that Noble 6 actually survives. In the collector's edition of Halo Reach, the game comes in the form of like a black box like you find in like an airplane, a crash airplane, and it's like Oni secret files. And you know how the game has a weird camera perspective where it seems like a handheld camera and there's a lot of like found footage too. So a lot of fans think that Halo Reach is them like deconstructing the found footage, and they're actually covering up the survival of Noble 6 by editing the very last few seconds of the footage. So if they really want to bring Noble 6 back into the main continuity, that's their chance. Or not, and
What a
he's dead.
cameo that would be, dude. For Infinite, imagine. Yeah.
Well, doesn't the whole planet get glassed?
And then he gets like evac, okay?
Oh,
at the end.
okay. I don't know about.
Yeah. But he's that's the whole thing. That's his whole thing. He's mysterious. He's blacklisted. He's an enigma. He's not supposed to exist essentially to all, so it would kind of fit with the whole in keeping of that. But yeah, it didn't look great for him.
And that's all I have for the fun facts.
All right. So I know we went over if like we said if like holds up or not, but rankings. Where do we think Halo Reach ranks?
So what are the current rankings?
So I can't fucking remember, but I believe it's Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, 2. How many games would we rank already? I'm already.
And then Halo 1.
Halo 2 and Halo 1 is what I believe it is, even though Halo 2 is criminally low.
Okay, where does Halo Reach go?
I don't know.
Above 1. I think it goes above 1.
Yeah, above one for sure.
Above 2.
That's a hard one.
Right?
Okay, so 3.
Okay, if we're not including the anniversary edition, I think it goes above 2.
I don't know. I think the anniversary edition is.
I think that's what we're talking about. Because we mainly play those versions. I don't know.
Okay, fine.
Isn't that the main version?
Yeah, we went off.
Okay,
yeah.
fine.
And yeah, that makes it harder because Master Chief Collection, fucking the Halo 2 Anniversary is like the best remaster out of all of them. That's tough. But I do appreciate the remaster stuff they added to Reach, like 60 FPS, no motion blur. That motion blur was disgusting.
Yeah.
The bloom is gone, but
I'm gonna say number 2.
Steven, I want
Number
your opinion.
2.
Where you think we should?
That's pretty high for you. I mean, I guess I'm surprised a little bit that it's number 2, Gaff, for you.
Maybe number 3.
I'm thinking 3.
I think that's a fair place for it. When I think about what we played, right? What we were presented, all the overall package, I think it does fit in a 3.
If it was my personal list, Halo 2 would be above all of them. But it's not, so I have to go with the flow.
I think
Nah, Halo 2 is too bloated.
Yeah. I think that it does take a lot of points for being just unnecessarily long. But yeah, if we're just looking at the whole packages, I do think you have to consider the multiplayer. You have to consider firefight.
Yeah, we'd even touch upon those two real quick, which I gotta say, doesn't.
I mean, there's a reason we didn't touch on multiplayer.
Hold
I
up.
like the multiplayer.
I'm garbage at
it.
It
was panned though, and from what I remember, it wasn't
and doesn't
really...
doesn't the multiplayer just reuse campaign maps?
Yeah.
Damn.
So there's that. Cause I was playing through campaign and I was like, wait, I recognize this map a little bit. Oh, wait a second, did they reuse campaign maps in multiplayer?
Yeah, the beachhead is used in firefight as well. So yeah, I want it to be number 2 just because I like some parts of it so much, but I really think it's got to be 3, right? It's got to be number 3, I think.
I say
I will accept number 3.
So our official rankings are now 3 ODST, Reach, 2 and 1, correct? I'm not missing anything, right? I'm starting to lose track of all this stuff.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
I'm gonna write this down.
Yeah, we should really keep track of this for being a ranking show. So next week we have Halo 4, the first
game by 343 Industries.
Well, technically, Halo 1 Anniversary Combat Element was the first one.
Okay, yeah.
And they did do Reach's after Bungie left, they did updates to Reach, so there's that. But this is like their first original game. So there's
We'll
that.
see how that holds up.
Yeah, I've not
We're gonna
played
have to
4.
see.
So yeah, we're gonna have to see how I feel about all of that. Gaff is hyping up the story, but I'm excited. So.
Yep. Very controversial game that I think is a little bit too controversial, but all right. We'll get into that next time. So this has been X Interacts Halo Reach Explored. If you like what you saw, please follow us on Twitter, xinteract_. Follow us on YouTube, TikTok, where we do TikToks, I guess.
Yep. The TikTok thing.
What else do you do on TikTok? I don't know. TikToks.
Yeah. Instagram, all of your
Instagram.
socials. We're pretty much there.
All the podcast services, even though this is a YouTube only series, so there's that. But yeah, until next time, I've been Eric. I've been joined by Steven and Gaff. And keep exploring them Halos. Which, surprisingly, we haven't been to a Halo ring in a long time. Just saying.
It didn't take long for Reach to fall. Our enemy was ruthless, efficient, but they weren't nearly fast enough. For you had already passed the torch. And because of you, we found Halo, unlocked its secrets, shattered our enemy's resolve. Our victory, your victory, was so close. I wish you could have lived to see it. But you belong to Reach. Your body, your armor, all burned and turned to glass. Everything. Except your courage. That you gave to us. And with it, we can rebuild.